seen it before, and my understanding was that this host, Brian, allows a bunch of sex workers to sit in a circle, and he sometimes has a conservative on to talk about their jobs. So it didn't seem like the right fit for me to be sitting across from these ladies as they talked about their OnlyFans careers or talked about the various sex work that they do as, proud prostitutes. I remember dreading this. I was talking to the PR person. I'm like, why do I have to do this? This makes entirely no sense to me. And boy, am I glad that I sat down on that podcast. Boy, am I glad that I was booked to do this show, because it turns out that you actually can learn a lot from hoes. So let me just set this up for you before I show you a few clips from the show. Essentially,
it'd be so funny too, because I slut shaming is a thing, and not in a sense of, I think people can slut shame because you have a small body count and they have a big body count, but slut shaming is a thing for me of how I look at it when it's between women, because women know innately and inherently that men do judge our body count, and women try to separate themselves of being a better woman based on how many bodies they got and how they obtain those bodies. So let's say I got 10 bodies. I'm speaking as if I'm a female, and that female got 10 bodies. Now, if I got my 10 bodies, 10 individual times, and she got her 10 bodies by 3 separate times, but she got trains ran on her, people would say that those 10 bodies are worse because she let men run trains on her, whereas I took my time and I got my 10 bodies at a different pace. We both got 10 bodies, but how you obtain those bodies, makes people feel a certain type of way.
Essentially, I was invited to sit down. Every girl across the table said what they did for a living. One girl was a singer, and she leaned conservatively, but everyone else, there was one girl who was on OnlyFans, but she only takes her top off. There was another person who was on OnlyFans. There was two women that were prostitutes and said essentially that they help to save marriages. Yep, you heard me correctly. Because of them and the work that they do as prostitutes and as sex therapists, they sleep with your man so that your marriage can be saved. Now, of these two,
probably so. They probably do help the marriage out, because the man needs some fire to go home to his wife, and that's outside cootie pop probably give him a little spark so he can go home to the bedroom and give you what they was doing.
Proud prostitutes. One of them was just 22 years old. And I'm going to show you guys a clip of her talking about how men that date her are actually insecure. Take a listen.
I've had no issues being a legal prostitute just because I haven't been dating anybody within this time for that year. Mm-hmm. As for everything else, it's hard dating. Mm. I've ran into a lot of insecure men. Typically, those are the ones that can't handle me doing what I do for work. And
just a point of clarification. So you've run into a lot of insecure men, and are they insecure because they don't want to date you because you are currently active as a prostitute?
No, I'm saying I've never dated a guy while I was working at the brothels, mm-hmm. at the Bunny Ranch or the Mustang Ranch. But I've been dating guys like between me doing camming and sure. dancing. So that's what I'm talking about.
But you mentioned insecure men. What specifically are they doing that makes them insecure? Is it because they're insecure about your work?
Yes. Like I've had exes in the past that would cry about me going to work to dance at the strip club. Okay. I've had guys try to control like what I wear and say that I can't work at strip clubs or do OnlyFans or whatever.
Sorry, was there more?
No, and that's...
Okay. Is it because they're insecure, or is that just them having boundaries and standards?
I feel like that's...
If those men had boundaries and standards, they wouldn't have even looked her way. If those men had boundaries and standards, they would have not looked her way.
I mean, you knew what I was doing before you met me.
I agree. They knew what she was doing before they met her.
Right? So all of them knew exactly what I was doing before they met me, which brings it to, if you have a problem with what I do before you meet me, maybe don't get involved with me.
Sure.
I'm very open. I'm a very honest person. You knew what I was doing before you met me. If you don't like it.
I got a question for y'all. Do you think you're supposed to change for relationships? If you're in a relationship, do you think you're supposed to change because you're in a relationship to better that relationship or to help the longevity of their relationship? Y'all let me know in the comment section.
There's the door.
So here's the first thing that I want to say. I thought that sitting across from these young women, it was going to make me angry. But what I actually felt was a tremendous sadness for that young woman that you're listening to, because I have a daughter, and the concept of a 22-year-old young girl sleeping with up to 10 men per night, which is something that she mentioned earlier in the show, 5 to 10 people, clients that she will see in one day, actually saddens me. It breaks my heart. And to listen to her justify why her relationships are not working out and to place it onto insecure men, as she describes them, and not her line of work, not actually what might be men caring about her, men wanting her to get out of this lifestyle. Does she have a point that, well, they already knew I was doing this? Yeah, okay, sure, you're right. They probably shouldn't have been drawn to you in the first place. But the point is that once they try to get you away from this lifestyle, it's not an indicator of insecure men. It's actually could be an indicator that people think that you're better than the career that you have. Her justification is that she's making money. Later on, she says that she's going to get out of sex work and then she'll be fine and she's just going to get married happily ever after. When I explained to them why it was that none of them were in relationships, barring the one 31-year-old on the far right that was sitting there and who is, I think she was 32 or 31 and is currently not married, that of course, when men learn and you are older and in your 30s or in your 40s, that you used to be a prostitute, it is going to narrow your prospects, not because men are insecure, but because men have standards, right? And men.
So I'm going to say this. I think that a person that is out here showing their private parts to the world so they can see for a monetary gain, I don't think that's somebody that you should date in the first place. But let's say you decide to get into a relationship with them. Then you want to tell them they should change. And if they're making a good amount of money doing what they do, I would not change for that person either. Because now I'm making money. You met me doing this, and you want me to change them two very important things about my life to be with you. Now, I see if you say something like, "Hey, baby, I don't like when you leave dishes in the sink at night. Could you just place it in the dishwasher?" Yeah, I normally don't do that, but for you, I can do that. Hey, baby, when you go to the bathroom, I would like it if you put the toilet down because, it was late at night and I was, sleeping. I sat down and I fell in the fucking toilet. Yeah, I don't normally do that, but baby, for you, I would do that. Those are things that you do to prolong a relationship. It's just those little small things. And then sometimes it gets a little bit deeper. It might be something like, "Hey, baby, when you do X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel like this emotionally. Is it any way that we can address the way that you speak to me so maybe I don't feel like this later on down the line, or it won't be a lingering hurt, or I won't feel like you don't care about me when you say these things?" Oh, baby, we can address those things. Or maybe we can go a little bit farther. Maybe we can talk about your past and you bring it up and you tell me, "Hey, these are triggers for me. This X, Y, and Z triggers me when you touch me like this, when you kiss me like this, when you say things like this. These are trauma responses, and I need you to know that these are things that we need to talk about and need to work on so that I don't feel insecure or feel like I'm having flashbacks or PTSD in this relationship because something has happened in the past." Those are things you do. But when you talk about making money, I make money showing my cootie pop online or showing my Peter Whack online. That'll be hard to change because we know money is a lifeline. Point blank, period. Money is a lifeline. You need money to survive. Point blank, period. Ain't no way to slice it, right? And I would argue that a lot of these women know that the men that they date are insecure, and that's why they date them to get some type of relationship, some type of companionship. They want to be able to lay in the bed when they get in the bed. If they feet cold, they want to be able to rub their feet on these men's feet and warm their feet up. They want to have sex with these men and fight over who's gonna sleep in the wet spot later on in the night. You get what I'm saying? They want that type of, you know, affection and companionship and, you know, love, even if it's 6 months, even if it's a year. You know, they want to feel that too, like somebody cares for them. Is that an insecurity too? Because you prey on insecure men? Yeah, both people are insecure. And y'all are literally trauma bonding, because why would a man that's worth anything, even decide to take you serious? You're just a good time. And I wouldn't doubt that most of these men that they probably meet them while working. Most people meet the people that we date or marry at work. So you probably met one of these men, and it probably was one of the Johns that you were sleeping with, and he thought he could change you, or you seen that he had enough amount of money that enticed you to be like, maybe I could take him out of my trick category and put him in my man category. You get what I'm saying? And then Candace Owens said, you know, maybe it is insecure for them to get with you, but sometimes when you get with somebody, you ask them to change because you think some of these you're better than the things that you're doing. It's kind of like a slap in the face to tell somebody, you're better than this. You know, you could do more than this. It's kind of like saying, so you telling me all this time I've been showing my coochie and my cootie pop, and I've been making money, that I don't have to do this, that this is beneath me. When you tell somebody that they're doing something that's beneath them or you're better than them, that's slapping them in the face and telling them that they're doing peon type ish, that they're thinking small. And maybe it is. Maybe they are thinking small, or maybe they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Me and my homeboy was having this conversation earlier, and you know, he was like, you know, we have this thing called the damsel in distress, and we, you know, we're saving them. And I'm like, yeah, we do. And men want to, you know, be the heroes and the saviors, and that puts men in bad predicaments as well. And now these men get in relationships with these women, and they're scarred as well, because now they're trying to be a savior instead of a protector. If you're going to be with a woman, it would be advantageous to be with a woman that hasn't been out there, and you protect her from having to go out there. So how you would do that is, if you get into a relationship, you need to make enough money to where times aren't hard. And she says, you know, I was out at the club with my homegirls, and you know, the owner gave me his card, and he said he likes my body and I can make a lot of money, and I just need to send him a video, and I can start stripping on Monday if I just show him, you know, what I can do. See, how do you be a protector is, if you make enough money, the owner comes up to her at the club, gives her a card, and she throws the card away, or she says, no, thank you, I'm cool. And you know why I know that happens? Because I have a friend that actually happened to. Him and her actually went out. It wasn't her homegirls. Him and her went out to the club. The owner had gave her a card. When she went to the restroom, she brought the card back to him, and they were talked about it. He wasn't working, wasn't doing anything. He was actually being a bum. He was like, well, she does have a nice body and she can dance. And today, this girl is still dancing in the strip club. And he agreed to it. And sure enough, about 6 months later, they end up breaking up. She was making a lot more money, addicted to the life, and when he wanted her to stop, she was too gone. Once a good girl gone bad, she's gone forever. And that's where men mess up. Y'all got to get with women that y'all can actually be protectors instead of saviors. But when it comes back to the damsel in distress stuff, typically we try to save women that are in situations that they don't put themselves in. A lot of men are trying to save women that are repetitive and habitual, I fuck my life up uppers. That's what they do. We grew up, and old people used to always say this: trouble seemed to find some people. And there's a lot of women that just happens to just always be in trouble or always on the spot. always on the scene. It's always some crazy stuff happening. It's all, you got some people that's telling a story about something. They'll tell a story about something, and it's so outlandish. You're like, nah, man, you got to be lying. You being hyperbolic right now. That didn't happen. And then you meet somebody else and they tell you the same exact story. You're like, how the fuck did this happen to this person? And 3 months later, they're telling you another story, another crazy story, and they get to the point you're like, it is a spirit on you that every time you do something and go somewhere, you're always putting yourself in precarious situations or bad situations. I need to get away from you. Damsel in distresses. That theory is to save a woman who is not put herself in a fucked up situation. Men are trying to save women that are consistently putting themselves in bad predicaments, bad situations, and they are habitual life fucker-uppers. I'm going to say this. A lot of women that do sex work, they prey on men. They prey on men who are insecure. They prey on men that they feel are weak, and they prey on men who they feel they can manipulate, even though they know it's going to be for a short period of time. They know this. They know it. They know it. They know it. Y'all need to get that through y'all head. I don't understand why y'all think y'all could change these women. You can't. Let her go. Have fun with her. She's a good time. She's a fun girl. And sometimes, even if you decide to, you gotta, like I say, you got a whole frame. If you decide to even just, you want to be serious with her for a little while, understand, like, when you go out with her, you going out with her. It's probably 6-7 dudes in that restaurant that then probably, slap that Peter whack on her face. It is what it is. You got to deal with that. You can see videos of men doing it and all the freaky stuff she do on camera. That's what draws you to her, because you see that she ready to go. But understand, that's one aspect of a relationship. Excuse me. Sex. That's all that relationship is about. Sex. And it should be left at sex. Now, when it comes to Candace Owens on this podcast, I will say a lot of the stuff, Dope Tripod. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Hit like. But I will say, y'all make sure y'all share my video too. Make sure y'all share my video. But I will say this as well. A lot of these women and a lot of these men, trauma bonding is a big thing when it comes to relationships. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to all of the divorces that have hit the media streets lately, these social media streets lately. But man, it is ridiculous. We probably up to like 12 divorces in like 2 weeks, famous divorces, right? And then y'all know people around y'all that didn't got divorced. Marriage in America is dead. I'm just gonna have to tell y'all that if you're thinking about getting married, the best relationship advice you can get is to not do it. The best relationship advice is to not do it. Point blank, period. Just don't do it. Don't think about it. Just enjoy that woman for the time being. If she puts pressure on you to get married, you should just tell her, don't string her along, because that's how, feelings get involved and things happen. And she might want to chop your Peter whack off or something like that, because now you telling her you don't want to get married. But like I said, you need to be honest with her and be like, hey, look, marriage isn't in my cards. I don't see myself get married. I don't want to go down that road. Do that. Because like I say, marriage is dead in America. Marriage is very beneficial if it's done correctly, but only 5% of people in America should be getting married. 5. Only 5. Dang, I've been on here an hour. I got another video we finna talk about. Hold on, so I can find it. Hopefully my Twitter come up. I ain't never screen share Twitter on him. And you gotta be careful on Twitter because all the porn and stuff that be on here. Hold on. Let me sign in. But the next video we're gonna talk about